Hello, welcome to FightCore USA.
Nate Diaz, let me bang, bro. Two phrases that have nothing to do with each other, but when combined together, make perfect sense. What's up? I'm your host, and this is the fight that changed everything. When it comes to fighting, few athletes are as recognizable as Nate Diaz. Whether he's trash-talking his opponent or getting absolutely wrecked, there's always a quote that sticks around long after the fight is over. Most recently, it was, "I'm not surprised," that had fans all over the internet losing their minds. For most, it was the first time they'd ever heard the phrase. And just like that, it became an overnight sensation. But where did it come from? Well, that's what we're here to talk about today. So turn off your lights, grab some popcorn, and let's get into it. August 2023, Nate Diaz was set to take on the undefeated prospect Kamzat. Keen to let up, Nate made it clear that he didn't think too highly of his opponent, going as far as to call him a, quote, little mother. But no one could have predicted what Nate would say after the fight. In the second round, Shimabe took Nate down and rained down some heavy punches. Although Nate was clearly hurt, he still had some fight left in him. As the round came to a close, Nate managed to make it back to his feet and stumbled back to his corner. That's when the legendary commentator Mike Goldberg uttered those now famous words, "Diaz is hurt. He's dazed. He's confused." He's got no idea how he got here. And right after that, Nate turned to his own corner and screamed at the top of his lungs, "I'm not surprised, mother." This outburst immediately sent shockwaves throughout the crowd. Everyone was wondering what on earth he meant by that. After the fight, Nate exclaimed that he felt disrespected by his corner, thinking that they wanted him to quit. But when the dust settled, it was clear that Nate's outburst had become something much bigger than any misunderstanding between fighter and coach. It had become an internet sensation. People were sharing clips of the outburst everywhere, turning it into a meme and even using it in TikTok videos. Now, if you've been following for a while, you might be asking yourself, wait a minute, didn't this happen before? Well, yes, it kind of did. Back in 2016, Nate faced off against his longtime rival, Conor McGregor, in their rematch. With the fight hanging in the balance in the 5th round, Nate turned to his corner and yelled, "I'm bored. This guy's let me bang, bro." No, this wasn't just another classic Nate Diaz line. It actually started off as an internet meme several years prior. A reality show called Are You the One featured two guys named Will and Mike during a particularly heated argument. Will turned to Mike and yelled, "Let me bang, bro," which was later revealed to be a euphemism for having sex. Of course, this was way before the days of Will and Mike becoming overnight internet sensations. But luckily for us, there was a clip, and soon enough, people started using it as a meme. Several years later, when Nate found himself in a boring fight against Conor McGregor, he decided to embrace the meme and yell, "Let me bang, bro," during the fight. This quickly became one of the most popular moments in UFC history. Fans all over the world started embracing the line, using it to mock boring fights, and even making it into their own trend on social media. So you can see why many people thought that the same thing happened again when Nate yelled, "I'm not surprised." But believe it or not, this was something that Nate just came up with on the spot. There was no pre-existing meme or catchphrase that Nate was referenced. It was simply a spontaneous outburst of frustration and bewilderment. There's a reason that this happened. You see, when it comes to fighting, especially MMA, the sport thrives on these raw, unfiltered moments. Fighters who are able to tap into these emotions and express them in a genuine way become cultural phenomena. Just think about some of the most popular fighters of all time. Mike Tyson, Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz. They all have one thing in common. They're unapologetically themselves, even if that means being controversial or offensive. These fighters don't care about what anyone thinks of them. They just say what's on their mind. And sometimes what's on their mind is, well, surprising. In Nate's case, it's not because he's lost his mind. Instead, it's because he genuinely believes that his corner was trying to get him to quit. Now, whether or not that's true doesn't really matter. What matters is that Nate believed it, and that's what led to that iconic outburst. Now, just like with the "let me bang bro" moment, this wasn't the first time that Nate referenced his corner. Back in 2017, he fought against Georgia St. Pierre in a welterweight title fight. In the third round, Nate turned to his corner and say, "They took my F&, water, Hawaii. I'm so pissed." Now, this was actually true. After the first 2 rounds, Nate's corner removed his water bottle out of fear that he was wasting too much time on it. But instead of complaining about it, Nate decided to embrace it and use it to motivate him in the third round. As the fight wore on, it became clear that Nate wasn't going to be able to beat St. Pierre. But that didn't stop him from continuing to trash talk his corner. In the 5th round, Nate turned to his corner and screamed, "You guys almost did it.
You almost made me quit."
BT's Point fans were starting to wonder if there was actually a rift between Nate and his corner. Were they really trying to get him to quit? Had Nate's anger gotten the better of him? Well, after the fight, Nate cleared things up, saying that he was joking around with his corner. But it didn't stop there. In the 6th round, Nate turned to his corner again and said, "I love you guys, but you guys can suck my D." And then later on, "I hate you guys, but I love you guys." BT's Point fans were completely confused. Was he angry? Or was he happy? Was there a rift in his corner, or was everything okay? Well, after the fight, Nate explained that he was just trying to make it more entertaining for the fans. He said, "I was just trying to hype it up for the crowd."
They were booing my corner the whole time, so I just started messing with them.
Now, whether or not that's true doesn't really matter. What matters is that fans embraced it and ran with it. In the coming years, Nate would go on to have several more fights, but none of them would ever quite live up to the hype of the St. Pierre fight. Still,
He continued to entertain fans with his trash talking, whether it was directed at his corner or not.
fast forward to 2023, and Nate finds himself in a fight against Kamaru Usman. Once again, Nate turns to his corner and says, "They took my F in water." But this time he doesn't stop there.
He goes on to say, "They think I'm scared."
"I'm not scared. They're scared for me." 10 letter on, tells his corner. "Don't worry. I got it. I got it. I got it." At this point, fans were starting to think that there was something wrong with Nate's corner. Were they really that worried about him? Or were they just trying to make it more exciting for the crowd? Well, after the fight, Nate cleared things up, saying that he was just joking around with his corner, but it didn't stop there. In the 5th round, Nate turns to his corner and says, "This is the Malurfing Mine event. Let's go." At this point, fans were completely confused. Was he excited or was he bored? Was everything okay or was there a rift in his corner? Well, after the fight, Nate explained that he was just trying to hype it up for the crowd. He said, "I was just trying to make it more exciting for the fans. They were booing my corner the whole time, so I just started messing with them." Now, whether or not that's true doesn't really matter. What matters is that fans embraced it and ran with it. In the coming years, Nate would go on to have several more fights, but none of them would ever quite live up to the hype of a St. Pierre fight. Still, he continued to entertain fans with his trash talking, whether it was directed at his corner or not. It's clear that Nate's outbursts aren't just random. He has a genuine connection with his corner, and he knows how to use that relationship to entertain fans. In fact, you could argue that it's one of the reasons why he's so popular. Fans love to see fighters who are unapologetically themselves, and Nate is a perfect example of that. Whether he's trash-talking his opponent or his own corner, Nate doesn't care what anyone thinks of him. And that's what makes him such a great fighter. So what do you think? Do you agree that Nate's outbursts are planned, or do you think they're genuine? Either way, it's clear that they've become a big part of his appeal as a fighter. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Okay guys, thank you for watching my videos.